Lieutenant Hale had met many aliens during his time on the Horizon Station, but none of them prepared him for the... People always said they were peaceful, elegant, gentle beings, like walking pieces of living art. But the first thing noticed was not their beauty. It was their silence. They spoke softly, moved softly, even breathed softly, almost like they were afraid of disturbing the air around them. Had been assigned to escort the young daughter of the ambassador during her cultural exchange with humans. It was supposed to be a simple job: show her around the station, answer questions, help her feel at home. Nothing difficult, nothing stressful. But when arrived, felt something shift inside him. She stepped off the silver shuttle with slow, graceful steps, the glowing patterns under her skin shimmering like moonlight moving across water. Her large silver eyes scanned the docking bay with a quiet curiosity, as if every new sight was a treasure to her. Machines hummed, humans walked by in their usual rush, and she watched it all with soft wonder. Had been trained to keep a professional face, but the moment her eyes met his, he forgot every rule. She gave him a gentle smile, small, warm, and innocent. "Are you Lieutenant Hale?" she asked in a voice so soft it felt like it brushed against his heart instead of his ears. "Yes," he said, clearing his throat. "Welcome to Horizon Station." Nodded slowly, her eyes shining. "Thank you, I hope I will learn much here." They walked through the long glass corridor that overlooked the busy traffic of ships outside. Walked a respectful distance from her, but she kept drifting closer, almost like she didn't understand why he stayed so far. Every few steps, she would glance at him with quiet interest. "You do not speak much," she said gently. "I'm just giving you space," replied. Blinked. "Space? But I am already surrounded by space. This station floats inside it." Almost laughed. He had forgotten that took things very literally. "I meant personal space," he explained. "Humans like a little distance when walking." Looked confused but did not argue. Instead, she observed the humans passing by, noticing how they naturally kept to their own lanes, rarely brushing shoulders. "My people walk differently," she said softly. "We stay close. We believe distance means discomfort or distrust." Her voice dipped a little at the last word and felt a small twist in his chest. He didn't want her to think he distrusted her. "It's not about distrust," he said quickly. "It's just habit, but we'll figure things out together. That's what this cultural exchange is for." Her face brightened again, the glow under her skin warming. "Yes, we will learn each other." As they approached her guest quarters, paused by a large window overlooking Earth far below. The blue planet hovered in the darkness like a fragile gem. Placed her palm against the glass, her expression soft and full of awe. "Your world is very beautiful," she whispered. "It has so much water." Smiled. "Have you never seen oceans before?" "We have water," said, "but not like this. Our rivers are small, gentle, quiet. Your oceans are wide and strong. They remind me of your people." "Strong?" asked. She nodded. "Yes, strong and very loud." Laughed again, and this time she smiled with him. Her glow brightened, as if laughter fed her light. When they finally reached her room, turned to him with a careful seriousness, as if she wanted to say something important. She said softly, "Thank you for welcoming me. I know my people and your people are different, but I hope I can be understood here." "You will be," he said, surprising himself with how certain he sounded. She bowed her head gently. "Then I will try my best." Stepped into her quarters, and the door slid shut behind her, leaving in the quiet hallway. For a long moment, he stood there thinking about her glowing skin, her gentle eyes, her hopeful words. He had no idea then how deeply their worlds would collide. He had no idea what the next mornings would bring. And he definitely had no idea that in just 2 days, she would invite herself into his shower because of an alien custom. But for now, all he knew was this. Her arrival had changed something. And nothing on Horizon Station would ever be quite the same again. Had woken up early that third morning, the station still quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. He had decided to take a shower before starting his daily rounds. Nothing unusual, nothing stressful, just water, warmth, and a few moments to himself. He stepped into the stall, letting the hot water splash against his skin. Steam curled around him, filling the small bathroom with a soft, misty cloud. He closed his eyes for a moment and let himself relax. It was his ritual after long nights on duty. Then the door slid open. His eyes snapped open and his heart immediately jumped. Water splashed against his back, dripping down into the drain. And there she was, standing calmly in the doorway. Her silver eyes glimmered softly in the warm steam. She looked serene, beautiful, but utterly unbothered by the fact that he was fully exposed in front of her. "Good morning," she said, her voice like a soft breeze. "I will join you now." Froze, his brain refused to process her words. His hands gripped the edge of the stall. "Wait, no, what are you doing?" he stammered. Tilted her head slightly, as if confused by his reaction. "Is this not your custom, to bathe together with someone you trust?" Stomach dropped. "What? No, absolutely not. On Earth, humans, we don't, that's not a thing." Her glow dimmed slightly, and she took a hesitant step forward. "I only wanted to follow my people's ways. It is a sign of closeness, of trust." Swallowed hard, trying to find words that wouldn't hurt her feelings. But the truth was, he didn't understand. Her world and their customs were so different, so alien that even basic gestures like bathing together could feel shocking. I'm not ready for this," he said finally, his voice shaking. "It's not about trust, it's private. On Earth, we—" "Private," she repeated, frowning slightly. "But your people hide from each other even while cleansing. That seems lonely." Her words made him pause. He had never thought of it that way. Maybe, from her perspective, humans were cold, distant, afraid of closeness. He felt a twinge of guilt. She hadn't intended to embarrass him. She had only wanted to share trust. He said gently, "It's not about being lonely. It's just different. I'm human, and humans need certain boundaries." She nodded slowly, the glow beneath her skin dimming further. I have made a mistake." Her voice was soft, almost breaking. "I thought I was showing friendship. I did not mean to cause discomfort." Reached out, wanting to comfort her, but hesitated. He realized that the most delicate part of this exchange wasn't just cultural, it was emotional. Its intentions were pure, innocent, and honest. She wanted to trust, to connect, but her way clashed violently with everything he had learned about privacy and personal space. "It's okay," he said finally, forcing a small, reassuring smile. "You didn't make a mistake, you just surprised me, that's all." Blinked at him, her glow returning faintly. I understand. Your comfort matters more than custom." She stepped back, leaving the room silent except for the soft hiss of the water. The door slid closed behind her. Stood there for a moment, water running down his back, heart still hammering. He felt a strange mix of relief and admiration. Relief that the incident hadn't escalated. Admiration for her courage, her honesty, her willingness to show trust even in a world she barely understood. Later would replay that moment in his mind countless times. How alien and strange it had felt, yet how human it had also seemed. There was something about her innocence, her desire to connect, that made him feel protective. He wanted to teach her about his world. He wanted to understand hers, and most of all, he didn't want her to feel ashamed. Because he knew, deep down, this was only the beginning. Customs, her ways, her openness, they would challenge him again and again, and he would have to decide whether he would close himself off or learn to embrace the differences. For now, all he could do was take a deep breath, towel himself off, and prepare for the day. But a part of him already felt changed, touched by her trust. They might not understand human privacy, but realized something important. Sometimes, connecting with someone from another world wasn't about rules. It was about courage, and had more courage than he could have imagined. And that courage would haunt him, softly, warmly, and beautifully for the days to come. After the shower incident, the station felt different too. Every hallway, every hum of machinery reminded him of silver eyes and soft glow. Her intentions had been pure, her curiosity innocent, yet her way of expressing trust had caught him completely off guard. He wasn't angry, not at all. But he realized how fragile understanding between two worlds could be. Later that day, he found sitting on the balcony of her quarters. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a pale golden light over the artificial skyline of the station. She hugged her knees to her chest, staring at the distant stars projected on the observation dome. The holographic Earth floated below, bright and blue, serene and untouchable. Approached quietly, not wanting to startle her. He leaned on the railing beside her and said softly. She didn't look at him at first. Her voice was almost a whisper. I have offended you. I have failed the exchange. I do not understand humans. I barely understand myself here. His chest tightened. He wanted to tell her that none of this was her fault. He wanted to tell her that humans, with all their rules and habits, often seemed strange even to themselves. But he also understood something deeper. Was not just struggling with him. She was struggling with belonging, with making sense of a world that moved so differently from hers. You didn't offend me, he said carefully. You just surprised me, and maybe I wasn't ready for any of this. She finally looked at him, her wide silver eyes shimmering in the morning light. Not ready, she repeated, the glow under her skin flickering slightly. Do you not trust me? Shook his head. No, it's not about trust. You're the most honest person I've met. Humans and are very different. We have rules about personal space, privacy, and boundaries. I wasn't ready to teach you that yet. Her ears, or what humans would call ears, flattened slightly, a sign of worry. I only wish to follow our customs to show closeness, to build trust. Could see the shame on her face, the way her shoulders slumped slightly. I know, he said gently. And that's why I like you. You're brave enough to show trust even when it's scary. You want to connect. That's rare, that's beautiful. She blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. Beautiful, she whispered. My customs, they are strange to you. Not strange, he corrected softly. Different, that's all, and difference isn't bad, it's just unfamiliar. That's why we need time, that's why we need to learn each other. She sat silently, looking down at the holographic Earth. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she sighed softly, a sound full of longing and fear. Maybe humans and cannot be friends, she said quietly. We speak words, but our hearts, they do not meet. Maybe we will always be strangers. Felt a pang in his chest. He hated to hear her say that. He knew she didn't mean it cruelly. It was her way of expressing doubt, a fear born from misunderstanding. He reached out, just a hand hovering near hers, not touching yet. If we don't try, he said slowly, then yes. Hearts will never meet, but we can try, we can learn, we can understand. Her glow brightened slightly. Learn, understand, yes, she murmured. But what if I fail again? What if I hurt you? You won't hurt me, he said almost instinctively. We are from different worlds. That means we will make mistakes, but that doesn't mean we stop trying. It means we keep trying. That's how people, that's how friends, no, partners learn. Her silver eyes shimmered with a faint tear, though it didn't fall. Partners? She asked. Smiled softly. Friends, allies, maybe something more later. For now, just someone who cares enough to understand, someone willing to take the time. His glow pulsed gently, warmer now, and she nodded. I wish to try, I wish to understand. Felt a strange warmth inside him. He realized that connection wasn't about customs or rules. It wasn't about showers or food rituals. It was about courage, the courage to be honest, to admit mistakes, to try again. Had that courage. He had it too now. They sat together in silence, watching the earth below, hearts slowly reaching across the distance between two species. And in that quiet understood something powerful. The first step toward friendship, toward trust, was admitting that you didn't have all the answers. For the first time, he didn't feel surprised or defensive about her customs. He felt hopeful. Because hope was stronger than misunderstanding. And hope, he realized, could build bridges where fear and difference could not. The next few days tested in ways he had never expected. His innocence and curiosity, once endearing, now collided with the subtle, invisible rules of human life. Every gesture she made came from a place of trust, but for a human unprepared, they felt overwhelming. The first incident happened during breakfast. Following what she had seen among her people, tried to feed directly, holding a small piece of toast to his lips. Froze, nearly choking on his sip of tea. No, you don't, please eat it yourself, he sputtered. She tilted her head, confused. But in my culture, sharing food is a sign of trust and friendship. I thought it would please you. Rubbed his face, trying to smile. It's thoughtful, really, but on Earth, humans eat by themselves. That's normal. His glow dimmed slightly. I am trying to learn, she whispered. I do not want to offend you again. It was not her fault, understood that, and yet he could not stop the small tension building in his chest. Later that day, he walked her through a simple maintenance task in the engineering bay. She followed him closely, too closely, her fingers brushing against his sleeve. He flinched, and she recoiled slightly, clearly sensing her misstep. I am sorry, she said softly. I am not sure how close is allowed. I only wish to help. It's fine, he said, trying to reassure her. Humans value distance. It's not about you, it's just how we are. She nodded slowly, but the dim glow beneath her skin betrayed her embarrassment. Her wide eyes, so full of hope a few days ago, now seemed hesitant, unsure. She wanted to connect, to trust, and yet every action he corrected felt like a tiny failure. By the end of the day, the weight of miscommunication was palpable. Once so bright and curious, sat quietly in her quarters, staring at the empty space in front of her. Had learned enough to know that she was blaming herself. He knocked softly on her door. Can I come in? She nodded, voice barely above a whisper. Yes. Stepped inside. She did not rise from her seat by the window. Maybe humans and cannot be friends, she said, her voice trembling. We speak words, but our hearts, they do not meet. Perhaps I should return to my world. Perhaps I am too different. His heart tightened. He knelt beside her, careful not to crowd her. He said softly, You're not too different. You are extraordinary, but humans, we have rules you do know, that's all. If we don't explain, we fail each other. That's not your fault. That's not mine. That's just learning. Her silver eyes glistened. Learning, she repeated. I thought trying to follow my customs would bring you closer. Instead, I feel distant. I feel afraid to make mistakes. Reached out, a hand hovering near hers, unsure if she would allow it. He said, Fear is normal. Making mistakes is normal. What's important is that we keep trying. We don't give up because it feels hard. That's how trust grows. That's how friendship grows. That's how hearts meet. A flicker of her glow returned. She looked at him as if absorbing every word, every gesture. Keep trying, she whispered, even if I fail. Especially if you fail, he said, smiling softly. Failing is part of understanding, it's part of learning, and it's part of trust. She exhaled, a long breath that seemed to release the tension she had carried for days. Then I will try, she said, voice steady now but still quiet. I will try to understand humans and to be understood in return. Nodded, and I will try to understand your customs too. One step at a time. The weight of misunderstanding didn't disappear instantly, but for the first time in days seemed lighter. Her glow pulsed softly, warmer than before. Realized that this was what it meant to truly connect with someone from another world. Patience, courage, and the willingness to embrace failure as part of learning. The conflict hadn't ended. There would be more awkward gestures, more mistakes, and more moments of fear. But they had taken the first crucial step. They had admitted their limits. They had chosen to try. And in the silent warmth of her quarters, the lieutenant understood a truth that reached far beyond cultural exchange. Sometimes, the hardest battles are not fought with weapons or strength. They are fought with empathy, patience, and the courage to stand beside someone different from yourself, even when it scares you. His hand hovered near his for a long moment, then drew back. Yet he did not feel disappointment. He felt hope. Because hope, he realized, was the strongest bridge between two hearts and between two worlds. That evening, decided to take a different approach. The tension from the past few days had settled into quiet unease, and he knew they both needed a moment to reconnect. He walked toward the station's observation deck and found standing by the large viewport, watching the stars drift lazily outside. May I join you? He asked. She turned, eyes brightening slightly at the invitation. Yes, she said softly. For a long time they stood in silence. The stars seemed endless, pale diamonds scattered across a velvet sky. The hum of the station faded into the background. Took a deep breath. It was time to bridge the distance that had grown between them. Okay, he said finally, turning toward her. I have a suggestion. Teach me one custom, just one, and I'll teach you a human one. Her glow flickered, brighter this time, like a candle igniting. "You wish to try again?" she asked, her voice filled with hope. "Yes," he said with a small smile. "One custom, I promise I won't get it wrong this time." Stepped closer, careful not to cross boundaries, and raised her hand. "This is how we show trust," she said softly. She placed her palm gently above his heart. "It means your presence brings warmth." Felt a wave of emotion rush through him. The gesture was simple yet intimate, honest, vulnerable. He could feel the gentle pulse of her warmth, and it stirred something deep inside him, an unspoken understanding that this moment mattered more than any words could capture. "Your turn," she said, smiling faintly. "Teach me a human custom." He thought for a moment. There were so many small gestures humans did daily, but he wanted something meaningful. Finally, he held out his hand. "A handshake," he said. "It's a common way humans show respect, agreement, or friendship. It's simple, but it can mean a lot." Hesitated, then reached out. Her fingers were soft, slightly warmer than he expected. When their hands met, it felt awkward, too formal for her gentle nature, but she laughed softly at the effort. Chuckled too, and the tension of the past days seemed to lift, if only slightly. "You are different," she said, giggling. "Your customs are strange, yet I feel the meaning." "And I feel yours," he said quietly, "more than I can explain." For the first time in days, there was no fear between them, no misunderstanding, no awkward missteps. Just two beings from completely different worlds trying to understand each other, learning step by step, and feeling something real in the process. They stayed on the observation deck for a long while, talking about small things, stars, planets, the hum of the station, and even tiny human habits that seemed meaningless but were comforting. Asked questions, and he answered. He asked questions, and she answered. And slowly the gap between them shrank. "Do you know why I came into your shower?" asked suddenly, her voice quiet. Paused, remembering the incident. "I think I have an idea." She nodded. "I did not come to embarrass you. I came because your presence, it feels safe. And in my culture, we share water only with those we trust deeply. I wanted to show you that I trust you." His chest tightened. He realized then that her actions had been an act of pure honesty. No deception, no manipulation, just trust, and the courage to express it in a way only her people knew how. "I understand now," he said softly. "And I want to learn your ways, even the ones I don't fully understand yet, especially those." Her glow brightened, and for a moment it felt like the entire observation deck was filled with warmth. Knew that they were not just learning customs or gestures, they were learning trust, patience, and understanding. And that was far more powerful than any lesson in culture or protocol. By the time they left the observation deck, a quiet bond had formed between them. Something unspoken, yet undeniable. Realized that breakthroughs like this weren't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes they came softly, in shared gestures, laughter, and honest attempts to meet the other halfway. And with her gentle curiosity and unwavering courage, had taught him more in one evening than many could learn in years. Because sometimes the greatest connections are not born from similarity. They are born from the courage to embrace difference, to stand together even when the rules are unclear, and to reach across worlds without fear. Knew this was only the beginning, but for the first time he felt confident that they could face whatever misunderstandings or challenges lay ahead, together. Days passed, and with each day and grew more comfortable with each other. The early tension that had followed the shower incident slowly melted into something warmer. It was subtle, small moments that neither could ignore. A shared smile across the breakfast table, laughter over a human joke she didn't quite understand, or the quiet way she watched him work, her glow softening when he was near. Realized that understanding wasn't about grand gestures. It was in the small details, the tiny ways people showed care even when their customs were different. Was learning about human privacy, and he was learning about openness. Slowly, they found a balance, a rhythm that allowed both of them to feel respected, understood, and safe. One evening, as the twin artificial suns of the station dipped below the horizon, approached quietly. He had been reviewing mission logs, but the moment he saw her, he felt the familiar warmth of her presence. She looked hesitant, yet determined. "I wish to say something," she began softly, her voice trembling just enough to show her vulnerability. "Set aside his work. Of course," he said gently. She took a small step closer. "I did not enter your shower because I wished to break a rule or make you uncomfortable," she said, her silver eyes fixed on him. "I did it because you have been kind to me, you have been patient, and where I come from, kindness is sacred. We share water with those who treat us gently." His chest tightened. He could feel the weight of her words, their sincerity pressing against him like a gentle tide. He had spent days worrying about misunderstandings, about cultural gaps, about unspoken rules, and here she was, showing him trust in a way that was profoundly honest. "You didn't have to explain," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I understand now, and I appreciate your honesty more than I can say." She smiled faintly, the glow beneath her skin brightening in response. It was a soft light, warm and reassuring, the kind that seemed to make the room itself feel safer. For the first time, realized something important. Understanding was not about forcing someone to follow your rules, nor was it about abandoning your own. It was about meeting halfway. It was about listening, learning, and accepting the intentions behind actions, even if they looked strange at first. They spent the rest of the evening sharing stories. Talked about her people, about how trust was expressed in gestures humans would find unusual, about the importance of light and warmth in her culture. Spoke of human ways, simple customs, personal boundaries, the meaning behind small daily rituals. And slowly, the walls between their worlds crumbled. There was laughter, too. Tried a human handshake again, this time more confidently, and tried in greeting, placing his hand gently over his heart as she had shown him. It was awkward, imperfect, but perfect in its sincerity. By the end of the night, a quiet understanding had settled between them. They didn't need constant words or explanations anymore. Each gesture, each look, each smile carried meaning. It was a language beyond culture, beyond species. A language of trust, of respect, and of shared intention. Felt a warmth he had never known in the galaxy. Not from the artificial suns, nor from the glow of the station's lights, but from the presence of someone willing to meet him halfway, someone willing to be vulnerable, someone willing to trust. And too seemed changed. Her usual curiosity now came with confidence, tempered with understanding. She no longer worried about making mistakes because she knew that mistakes could be explained, learned from, and forgiven. That night as they parted, she said softly, "I am beginning to understand humans, but also myself. I know now that trust is not just a custom. It is a choice, and I choose to trust you." His chest tightened again. He wanted to respond, to tell her that the feeling was mutual, that he trusted her too, but words seemed too small. Instead, he nodded, a simple gesture that carried more meaning than any speech could. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and dangers, but for a moment, standing therewith, felt something rare and precious: connection, understanding, the kind of bond that could bridge worlds. And in that quiet, glowing moment, he realized the truth. HFY was not just about strength or courage in battle. Sometimes it was about the courage to understand, to forgive, to trust, and to meet someone halfway, no matter how different their worlds might be. Because true understanding, he thought, could shine brighter than any star, the day was to leave Horizon Station arrived sooner than had expected. He felt a strange emptiness in the air, the quiet hum of the station echoing louder than usual. He had walked the corridors countless times, yet today they seemed unfamiliar, almost too silent. Her presence had become a gentle warmth that lingered even when she wasn't around. And now, that warmth would be gone. He found her in her quarters, standing by the large window that looked out on Earth. She was quiet, hands clasped together, silver eyes reflecting the soft light of the planet below. Her glow was faint but steady, a small reassurance in the midst of his mixed emotions. She said softly, turning toward him, "I have learned many human customs during my stay here." "You've learned more than that," he said quietly. "You've taught me about your people and about trust, about courage, about openness." Tilted her head slightly, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "I still have much to learn," she admitted, "but I wish to leave with a token of our understanding." She extended her hand toward him. It was deliberate, careful, filled with unspoken meaning. knew immediately what it was, a human handshake. She had practiced it small and firm the way humans did, and yet her silver eyes held that same soft glow of honesty and trust. He took her hand, but instead of letting go after a moment, he did something she had shown him days ago. Slowly, gently, he turned his hand and placed it over his heart, the gesture of trust and warmth. For a moment, eyes widened. Then her glow flared bright and steady, filling the room with warmth. She laughed softly, a sound like distant bells. "Does this mean?" "It means," he said, voice low and full, "that our worlds can understand each other, that we've begun something stronger than customs or rules, that trust and connection can exist even between different species." Tears shimmered in her silver eyes, though they didn't fall. I never imagined this. I thought misunderstanding would follow me always. I thought, perhaps humans and could not truly meet." Shook his head gently. "We can meet. We just needed to try, that's all. Trying, listening, understanding, that's what matters. Not perfection, not following rules, just willingness." His glow pulsed warmly, filling the room. She took a deep breath. "Then I will take this lesson back to my people. I will tell them humans can understand. We are not so different after all. And I will tell my people about you," said, a soft smile on his face. "About your courage, about your honesty, about the way you trust and teach others to do the same." They stood in silence for a long while, hands still together, hearts quietly speaking in the language neither had fully learned but both understood. The galaxy outside was vast, full of darkness and light, danger and wonder. Yet here in this quiet corner of Horizon Station, two beings from different worlds had bridged the distance between them. Finally pulled back slightly, though the glow remained bright. "I must leave now," she whispered, "but I will never forget this, nor you." "And I won't forget you," he said firmly. "Not ever." She smiled, a small, radiant curve of lips. "Then we will meet again, perhaps not soon, but we will meet. And when we do, our worlds will feel smaller because we have already started." Watched as she prepared to leave, her presence as graceful and serene as the day she had arrived. When the transport shuttle finally lifted off, her glow fading into the distance, he felt an ache in his chest, yet it was tempered by something stronger. Hope. Hope that connections could survive difference. Hope that understanding could flourish even where fear once lingered. Hope that two beings from entirely separate worlds could teach each other about courage, trust, and the simple power of being honest. And as the shuttle disappeared into the vastness of space, looked at the stars and realized something profound. HFY wasn't always about strength, victory, or domination. Sometimes it was about the courage to meet someone halfway, to trust them, to understand, and to build bridges that no galaxy could destroy. The galaxy, wide and cold, felt smaller now, because two hearts had found a way to shine together, across customs, across species, across worlds. And that was enough.